here we go. So I have recently got into a new genre or subgenre, and that is books that are primarily fantasy, but with a gothic or gothic-esque feel. So I've actually realized I've read quite a few of them. I have a list of 6 today, and I also want to follow up this video with a gothic-esque TBR. The book that inspired this video is House of Light by Maxim M. Martineau. I loved this book. It was, oh, chef's kiss. I don't even know what was about it. This was the book where I was like, do I like gothic-esque fantasies? I do. But yes, I absolutely love this one. Oh. But it basically follows a young woman who has the power to heal. But when she does that, part of her own life, she's called a thread mender. So there's threads for your life, and when she thread mends other people, she loses some of her threads of her own life force. And there is basically a group of I think they're technically fae, who one of the families, because there's 5 or 6 different families, they're all horrible, but this particular family has a grandmother who is dying, and they want this young woman to thread mend, but it turns out that there is this disease that is uncurable even to her. And so they basically tell her that she is the family's new thread mender. She has to go and live with them, and it is gothic-y. I will say that. It even has bugs. What's more gothic-y than bugs? And a creepy manor house. Couldn't get any more gothic than that. So I love this book, and it's, like I said, what inspired this video. Following that one, these next 2 I'm gonna put together just because they're the same author, but that is One Dark Window and The Night and the Moth. This is a new auto-buy author for me. Absolutely loved this duology and this book, but yeah. One Dark Window, it's super hyped right now, but basically it follows this kingdom that is enshrouded, well, not enshrouded, but it's surrounding its border is this mist. I think they call it the blunder, and if you step into it, you die pretty much. But we follow a young woman who has this being in her head. Basically, she calls him the Nightmare, or it the Nightmare, and she lives in a kingdom that is basically landlocked, but mist-locked. Can't go into the mist, basically. And she partners up, she didn't know, but she found out that she was partnering up with the king's nephew, which is technically treason for him. Dark, misty, yeah, gothic-esque. And then by the same author, The Night and the Moth, we follow this young woman who is basically kept at this convent type thing, and her and I think 5 or 6 other girls were raised to basically dream prophecies, and their faces are veiled over so the people that come to see them cannot look into their eyes and face and all of that, which there's something creepy going on there, which makes it feel very gothic-esque. But she's always dreamed of her own life past her tenure as part of this convent that is basically just for her to basically prophesize. And things don't go nearly as planned as she thought it would near the end of her tenure. Things go down, and she really transforms or grows into herself. It was very, that part was really endearing, I think. But as a diviner, she basically prophesizes for people that come to the convent. They all hate it, and then her sister diviners basically start disappearing, and she partners up with a knight. He was someone who came to the convent with a different party. He does not like the convent. He does not like diviners, and these 2 pair up to try to figure out why, and or to find them, because they're not sure if they're dying or just disappearing. So they're trying, there's that whole mystery aspect, but it's a very dark, gruesome world, and her life has not been easy, and it just gave off that gothic-esque feel. like the others I've already talked about. So really like this. And then we have The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. This is book one to a duology that I really want to finish. I want to reread book one and then read book two. But this follows different casts as well, and the lowest one is basically the ones that collect the dead and the bones and like all of that. They collect teeth, which then gets kind of transformed into power, and they're known as the Mercy Killers, and they are like looked upon like lower than dirt, basically. But we have a young woman who is the next chief or chieftain of her caste, and so she is trying to navigate her duties and the path that her life has gone, and new things that come to be. There is a prince as well who, there's an evil queen, and he and his bodyguard, I think, fake their death, and then she and her people are sent to collect him, like his body, and things go from there because he's not actually dead. But yes, the prince and the bodyguard starts to work together with this cast. They are called the Crows, and that is where the title comes from, the Merciful Crow, and they are trying to basically outrun or outwit the evil queen of this kingdom. It just felt, because of like the bones and the teeth and going to collect the dead, it just felt very Gothic-y to me. I didn't realize until I was looking around my bookshelves being like, what's going on? But yeah, I was like, that one does feel very Gothic-y, so I have this one. Next is Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy, and this one basically follows I always forget what they're called. So they're Bone Criers. Is that just what they're called? Bone Criers? I cannot remember. It's been so long since I read this book. But Bone Criers have a sacred duty. They alone keep the dead from preying on the living, but their power to ferry the spirits of the dead into Goddess Alara's night heavens or Tyrus's underworld comes with sacrifice. The gods demand a promise of dedication at the cost of the Bone Crier's one true love. So this young man, his father was murdered by a Bone Crier, and he's out for vengeance, and she is part of the Bone Criers, and I think there's like this coming of age like thing where she has to go out and kill her one true love, and I think things intertwine there. But because of like ferrying the dead and all of that, like I just felt it fit into this video quite well. I have not read book two. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I really did like book one, so I have semi-high hopes for it. And then last but not least is Forest of Souls by Lori M. Lee, and this one, I mean, even the cover looks Gothic-y, but basically we have a young woman who is being trained to be the assassin of the queen, royal spy, and things go awry when her best friend is murdered, and then she like resurrects her, like her friend, and I don't know if it's like resurrecting or what, but she restores her life in some way. She is then marked as the soul guide, but she is basically summoned to this other kingdom, the Spider Kingdom, the Spider Forest, Spider King Deadwood, to enforce peace between the kingdoms. Now with the trees growing wild and untamed, only a soul guide, which she was just labeled as, only they can restrain them as war looms. Shirsha must master her newly awakened abilities before the trees shatter. The brittle peace, or worse, claim Sango, the friend she would die for, and literally resurrected. So the ending, I remember being quite interesting and like pretty captivating. I don't even know how to explain it, but this, you know, it deals with the Spider King, a dead wood, resurrection, the cover. Yeah, it just kind of screams Gothic. So here is that last one. But yeah, we have these 6 books. 2 are the same author. I really liked each and every one of these. Highly recommend for the October and kind of Gothic-y Halloween season. But yeah, following up, this video will be a Gothic-esque TBR video, which are going to be the books that I think have a Gothic feel on my bookshelves. I may do a little bit of research, but I may also just kind of go in blind and assume that they're Gothic-esque, but I haven't decided that yet. So actually, I'm not sure which video is going to go up first, but yeah, if the other one's up, go watch it, but otherwise stay tuned.